And we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever Off the Pitch Ice Gaming podcast with me as well as Hybrid. Hello, Hybrid. How are you doing?
Doing all right, my man. How are you feeling today, considering we have the first episode of our new podcast? We're just going to chill, talk some Rocket League, RLCS,
Yes.
esports, smaller stuff, casters, whatever. We're just going to sit here and vibe with everybody.
Yeah, super excited for this podcast. It's something that me and Hybrid have had in mind for a very, very long time, but we never quite got around to doing it. And then we got in a chat with Fastest Penguin, the head of Ice
Mm-hmm.
Gaming, and here we are, just about to start getting these podcasts. Hopefully every Sunday. Hopefully.
Yeah, that should be the plan here. Just kind of every Sunday. It might not be the same time every Sunday. We're still working out the kinks and the specifics.
Yeah.
But we definitely plan on every Sunday at some point throughout the day. Usually, probably in the afternoon sometime. But yeah, so make sure, and it might not always be on Jar's channel. For the first one, we figured why not, because it just makes it
Mm-hmm.
easier. But yeah, I'm really excited, Jar. This has been a long time coming, and a
Yeah,
lot of
dude.
work went into this, and we're
Yes.
very
Yes.
happy with this.
Yeah, it's been quite a bit. We've had to think of these topics. We've been brainstorming
Mhm.
honestly since probably like October, honestly.
Yeah,
A lot of different ideas and things, and huge shout out to I believe it was Moon that put a lot of these graphics together.
yeah.
Um,
The
so
owner of Provoked Esports, my homage,
uh,
put over all the overlays together for us. So huge shout out to him, and
yeah,
Provoked Esports overall.
yeah. So anyway, let's get this started a little bit. As you can see, we got the topics right below me. And we're gonna start off with the intro. We're gonna introduce ourselves a little bit for those of you that don't know us very well. I'll start real quick myself. I'm the real Jar. Um, I started streaming a few years ago. Honestly, my first stream was actually when I was 12 years old, so I wasn't even allowed to have a Twitch
Ooh,
account. Yeah, that is,
okay.
believe it or not. I'm 18 now, so it's been 6 years since my first stream, which is kind of crazy to say out loud. Um,
That
but
isn't.
yeah, I joined Indie Gaming League as a community caster just about 2 years ago. 2 years ago and 2 years and 1 week, I believe. It was almost on the dot 2 years ago is when I started casting for IGL, and then I've kind of casted a bunch of different smaller events and stuff like that. I casted one of these ice gaming tournaments a couple weeks ago, and that's how I met Fastest Penguin, and here we are. The rest is history. We're starting up our podcast.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, I'm extremely excited, and this isn't going to be something where we ignore chat either. Both of us have chat up. We're going to be interacting with you guys.
Mhm.
You guys are as much a part of the show as we are, and that's one thing that I think I'm really excited for, because we get to hear all your guys' voices about these topics as well as you guys hearing ours. So
Mhm.
really kind of making it a little community stream we got here. But yeah, as Jar said, a little introduction. I am PVK_hybrid, or just hybrid is fine. Um, Most of you guys actually do know me from Jar's channel, but anybody coming over from the ice gaming side, I've been casting Rocket League for about a year and a half now. Streaming on and off when I had a PlayStation 4 onto YouTube for a little while, but never really into it too much. Been playing Rocket League since it released in 2015. Currently sitting at the rank of like GC2 or something like
Like
that.
Champ 2, like Champ 2.
Yeah. All right. Well, 1600. I just made a big push today, Jar. We just talked
Yeah,
about that.
yeah, big push and then a fall is what I heard.
All right. Listen, 100 MMR push and then a 50 MMR fall. I'll take it.
Hey, I'd rather have high highs and low lows than a consistent low. So there you go.
Yeah. Exactly.
Credit where
Um,
credit is due.
but yeah, I've been casting for the IGL for quite some time now. Same as Jar, and done a few different tournaments and one-off kind of casts here and there. Casting for Concordia University, Texas, their collegiate team a little bit. I did a lot of work with Champria probably about 8 months ago. Excuse me. But yeah, it's been a blast. I love the game of Rocket League, as all of us here, I assume, do. And it's been a large portion of my life for a long time. And my wife understands that now. She knows I can't go without my RX. whether it's talking, casting, or playing. I need it.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, it's kind of crazy how much Rocket League really impacts your life when you think about it. Cause like I found my so I'm in college. I go to KU. I've casted for them. I actually played for them this semester, the Rocket League team. But I found my roommate through Rocket League. Is where I found my apartment. So it's kind of crazy how
Hmm.
much Rocket League turns out to affect our lives in so many different ways.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I never once thought that a video game of all things would have so much impact on my life. Now I have friends across the country, in all reality, across the globe, through this media, through this game, that I would have never had before. And I've met casters ever since I started casting. I've met casters, IGL casters, that I've become really solid friends with, Jar, you included. And some of them I've been able to meet at some local events because it turns out we're actually not too far away from each other. So it's been so much fun to get to know everybody and just kind of vibe and have some solid friendships online that can
Mhm.
very well translate into the real world as well.
Yeah, and that is why I'm so excited for Worlds this year, dude.
Oh
I'm
man, it's
so
gonna be
excited to
dope.
go to my first RLCS LAN. Oh my gosh, gonna meet everybody. Oh,
Yeah,
time will tell. Soon, soon, soon.
not soon enough.
I know that's true, but hey, before we can get to Worlds, Hybrid, we have
Hmm.
to go through the spring split,
That is true. That is
and
part of the grind.
yes, and the teams that we're gonna see in the spring split are not going to be exactly the same as the teams that we just witnessed at the in the winter split here in North America, and that is going to be a lot of the topic here for today. We're going to move on to NA roster mania. There were a lot of moves. Well, actually, no, not really. There were a lot more moves in Europe. A lot of
Yes.
the North American moves happened last split, but either way, there were still a couple notable ones.
Yeah, there absolutely were, and you said it. You know, we're only going to be talking about NA today. Maybe next week we'll handle EU. We're still piecing out exactly what we're going to be talking about then. Um, but as far as today is concerned, we're going to be talking about NA. So most of the roster moves, like you said, were on the EU side. So there's not much to talk about, but I think that allows us to dive a little more in depth into how we believe this change might be a good thing or a bad thing for this team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so to start it off, we might as well just real quick go over a brief overview of some of the expected roster changes that Jar and I have been seeing floating around Twitter. Zinniel is going to be joining
Torrent, I believe. Yeah,
Torrent.
for
Yeah, is that who that
Yeah,
is?
they're kicking Jordan, who's actually heading to Shopify Rebellion. There's a whole lot. The thing with roster changes, you kick one player, bring in someone new, and
Hmm.
it just topples like dominoes.
Yeah, it can get very bad very fast.
Yeah, and we saw that in Europe this split. But yeah.
Hmm.
So we have Zanil coming into Torrent in place of Jordan, who Jordan is one of the few pros that I've actually played with on a team in ranked. Believe it or not, at the beginning of last season, I ended up matching up with him on my team, and he carried me to one of my first victories of the season. So just yeah, gotta brag about that a little bit.
Listen, you gotta love it, man. That's some fantastic news. It's not every day that you can get a dub, being you.
Hmm.
So any help
Wow.
you can get
Yes, that's
probably
true.
helps out quite a bit.
um, but yeah, the trade from so Jordan moving from Torrent to Shopify Rebellion, both of those two teams kind of in the bubble, two teams that are kind of on the outside looking in, kind of maybe
Hmm.
top eight, debatably looking to make those that push into making top six area, but haven't quite made that push yet. Speaking of a team that has been on the outside looking in, Envy also making a roster change. They looked good in the first split, and then they ended up losing Atomic, who was your Winter Major MVP, and
Hmm.
we saw that they kind of fell off a little bit in this last split.
Yeah, they absolutely did, man. They did not look solid by any means. You know, like you said, Atomic, the MVP, just blowing out the competition but he could not do that on the roster of Team Envy. Something
Mhm.
about Mist and Turbo Pulsa with, you know, it just wasn't working, that team chemistry. So
Mhm.
I'm happy to see him go to G2 previously. Obviously, this isn't new.
Mhm.
I'm happy to see him go to G2 and be thriving and immediately come out with a winter split championship, winter major championship.
Mhm.
But Team Envy making some huge moves,
Uh-huh.
bringing in Aleutian, who, if I'm not mistaken, Jar, you and I were talking about this previously. Aleutian
Yeah.
came from FaZe Clan, ended up being Team Envy's coach for
Yeah.
one split, and then decided to make a big old power move and just say, "Hey, Turbo Pulsa, hey, four-time champion, world champion, take the bench. I got this one." So Aleutian, Drees, and Mist are going to be the spring split team and main roster for Team Envy, and Turbo Pulsa is actually taking the sub seat.
Yeah.
He's going to sit on that bench for quite some time.
Yeah, there's quite a few high profile pros that are finding their way onto the under the sub spot this split. Turbo being one of them. And the thing is, there's no more roster changing throughout the season. This is what you're
Hmm.
rocking through from this split, but also into Worlds. So like
Yep.
it's tough for a lot of these guys because they're not gonna be able to see another team. But that also means that they're still getting paid the normal salary in many cases.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not playing but still getting paid. I guess there's something to talk about there. But I do think that this is going to be a good change for Envy. Obviously not ideal that they can't have Atomic
Hmm.
like they did in the first split, but I do think that Illusion did really well in the fall major, and Drees honestly was not. Drees was probably the best player on G2, debatably, at the fall major, and of course Mist. I mean, we know what he does for Envy already, so I do think that Envy is going to be a step up from their team last split, but the competition in North America is so much steeper than it was in the first one, so I don't know if they'll be able to replicate those same results.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's going to be tough. I'm curious on how Team Envy is going to pull out of this spring split. See how well they do in the major, if they even can get that far. In all reality,
Mm-hmm.
this team might not even make that little cutoff as far as getting into the
Yeah.
spring major. Um, there's a possibility of that happening, and a roster change is a huge dynamic change to the team. It changes chemistry, it changes rotation styles, it changes the entire team's play style overall. So for it to be happening this late into this year long season, it's a very risky move, but if it ends up working out for them, it would be a huge move made by Team Envy. Now, granted, like you said, and like we talked about before, Turbo Pulse is not off the team. He's still on it. He's their sub.
Mm-hmm.
So he
Yeah.
can get subbed in at any point. So maybe bringing Aleutian in and having Turbo Pulse as the sub on the back end, it's a possibility we might be seeing more subs happen from Team Envy, maybe late into a season, into a series, to where maybe Mist, Drees, and Aleutian are playing well, but they're just getting their faces rocked by their opponents, and they're letting in all these bad goals. Then you just have Turbo Pulse come in for whoever's not playing well on that
Mm-hmm.
roster, on that field, and you have an entirely new roster with a very strong Turbo Pulse. Granted, he
Yeah.
hasn't been playing nearly as strong as he used to in the past, but that
Mm-hmm.
could be a huge thing for Team Envy. This whole subbing in, not many teams actually do that in a series. So this may be the first time we see that.
Yeah, and that was something that we saw from KCP a lot before they picked up their team in OCE. They had that
Hmm.
four-man roster. Obviously, they never really did anything too notable with the four-man roster in RLCS, but still, it was an idea. It was an idea, and we'll see if Envy is able to do anything with that. Something that I think is interesting about Envy is that in that last split when they did end up losing Atomic, um, Atomic and Mist actually wanted to kick Turbo Pulsa, is the rumor at least, and the org Envy blocked it because of the name that Turbo Pulsa is. They want that recognition, and all I'm saying is that if Envy were to have replaced Turbo with someone new, like one of the newcomers, maybe like Daniel, or maybe Beast Mode were to come to Envy, with Atomic and Mist, that would have been a scary team. But
Yeah.
the Org Envy kind of dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah, they absolutely did. So we'll have to see exactly how this is going to work out for, bringing in a Lucian like this. It's a risky move, but I have a feeling it might actually be very beneficial for them.
Yeah.
Having a solid 4-man roster with a very solid sub backing them up. But only time will tell, and Spring Split is just starting. So we're not able to see too much of it right now, but we will definitely return to this topic in the future once we start seeing
Yeah.
some gameplay of Mysteries and Illusion.
Yeah. As far as other roster changes go in NA, we had Ghost Gaming and Xset switching a player, Hoxer and Rapid switching places. At least that is the rumor. I'm not sure if Hoxer has been officially announced yet to Ghost. If someone from chat is aware, let me know. But Rapid leaving Ghost, going to Xset Hoxer going to Ghost. So just a little swap. I don't know if this is really going to change all that much. Obviously, if you're looking to make a roster change, that means you don't like what's going on right now, right? Clearly, you want something to be different. So, I mean, it'll probably be positive for the mental aspect of things, and maybe just feeling better on the pitch. But I don't think that these these aren't exactly the highest profile roster changes here for Ghost and Exit. Maybe a little bit of improvement for one or the other, but I honestly don't see too much happening as far as their positions in North America.
Yeah, I agree. This roster change, this trade, basically, is really what it was. This trade of one single player for both teams, I don't see it being a huge difference in what these teams can do. Rapid is a fantastic player. That is true. Hoxer, another fantastic player. They're both, it could be very beneficial for both teams. It all comes down to the chemistry in the field and what these new players into this roster are able to provide to their new roster, to this new organization that they're joining. So again, only time will tell, but I don't think there's going to be much difference. If there is, it's something that nobody's able to see right now, and it's something that only Xset knows about. It's only something that Ghost knows about right this second, because they played with these players before. Hence why they know that they want to make this roster change and why they did it so late in the season.
Yeah. Another interesting one is going to be PK, Pittsburgh Knights, picking up two players, Cheese and J-Russ. Cheese was a player on the gentleman squad that we saw in a couple of regionals there. Keeping Sosa. J-Russ, I believe he wasn't even playing for anybody last split, so we'll see.
Yeah, he was quote unquote retired.
Yeah, so we'll see if that does anything for them. Obviously, Alpha Kep and Omar, two big content creators that were on that team before. Alpha Kep retiring, and I'm not sure where Omar went, but there was a lot of hype surrounding those two as content creators. So hopefully, best for them, and I'm sure they've got a lot more entertainment in store. But sadly, no more playing for PK.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it happens like that sometimes, and I'm looking forward to seeing what PK could bring to the table right now. One of our good buddies, Jar, is a huge PK fan.
Yes.
So I'm curious on his take on this trade, or not trade, but the roster change. So maybe we'll get a little quote from him for the next episode. We'll bring that back, but
yeah,
I don't think it's going to be crazy. I think it's a good move for them. 100%. As far as playing on the field and skill level is concerned, I think it's a great move.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good move, like social media wise. Like unless they are still working under Pittsburgh Knights as just content creators, then that's fine. Keep doing you, and this is a fantastic move with no downside. It as far as right now is concerned. But if they just completely lost contact with them altogether, it might not be the best move as far as branding and the content you're putting out there, because they were huge for PK for that reason alone.
Yeah, and I did hear that according to SpadeRL in chat, PK choked quals. So yeah, we did actually have closed qualifier is halfway through, and it looks like PK didn't even make the close qualifier. So they fell out in open quals. That is rough for PK. This roster looks like they're gonna need a little bit of work. It appears.
Yeah, it happens like that sometimes. You get a new roster, some new guys together, and it takes a while for you guys to kind of combine and figure out what that chemistry is going to be. So hats off for giving it a shot. Unfortunately, PK, like Spade said, choked in quals, which is unfortunate. You hate to see what used to be a fairly large named team go down like that, but they're going to get back on it, whether it be this spring circuit or split, or whether it be the possibility of Worlds, or whether it be next year entirely. They're going to come back, and we're going to be seeing the PK name again in the RLCS grind. They're not going to fall down into the bubble team area. They're going to be one of the big names. I have full faith in that actually happening.
Also hearing that Torrent apparently is 0-2 in close calls. Yeah, I've got the close calls up right now. We have 4 teams that are 2-0. Of course, anything is still possible. We could still have a reverse sweep because this is Swiss stage, essentially. Here, I'll drop this to you, quick Hybrid, if you want to take a look. But yeah, we have Friends, who is a brand new RLCS roster of Salado, Roxers, and Snaz. I guess those are some ranked grinders. They're 2-0 alongside Ghost Gaming, Charlotte Phoenix, and Shopify Rebellion. Now, those 3 make a little bit more sense. Those are 3 teams that we're familiar with hitting the regionals. But Friends, a new team perhaps on the rise in North America.
It's a possibility, man. And here's the thing to know about is none of them have a Liquipedia page.
Yeah.
Which means they haven't really done much of anything. I don't think Friends is an organization. I think they're literally just friends. They named their team. So depending on how well they do in this thing, man, they're sitting first place right now, like you said, with Ghost Gaming, 2-0.
6-0 in games, and they played Rogue as well. They 3-0'd Rogue.
Yeah, that's unfortunate considering the literal jersey I'm wearing right this second. Depending on what happens with them, we very well could be seeing that roster be picked up by an organization and taken directly into RLCS. They might not even have to do the grind like many other players have had to do. They might just get recognized because of this and picked up immediately, because that's impressive. Just a group of people, no organization or nothing coming into...
Well, it's similar to what Randoms did in the last split. I believe they had a top 8 finish. I think or maybe just top 12, but they made it out of groups. And they still haven't been picked up by an org, but they are sitting at 1-1 in closed quals, so they're putting a fight back up to get into more regionals. So I love to see the bubble scene start to develop a little bit in North America, because everybody's always been saying that North America has a weaker 8 through 16, 8 through 24 area. So I'm happy to see that they're actually starting to test the waters a little bit, maybe get some more parity in NA. That's always exciting.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. It really would. I would love to see that. I'm literally clicking through here, Joe, and I'm looking at the broadcast talent portion of it and clicking through all the different names. I'm seeing so many people we know.
Really?
From the IGL. Yeah. You got Bass from the Past with all mid, Hypheria with all mid. You have Whoops You for Prestige Esports. Like, bro,
of course.
My man
awesome.
Whoops You, who you and I cast the IGL Invitational with on Thursday nights. He's casting for... Where was it at? He's casting for Prestige Esports, as awesome. They make this run. So hats off, man. And that's one thing that I love about this Rocket League community is, like I talked about, I made a bunch of great friends, and a lot of us are casters because that's just the community I found myself in. And a lot of them are making big money moves for themselves, and that's fantastic. We just got news from 2 different friends of ours that they are now going full-time content creator / casting. 2 different people just this week. In 1 week, we found that out. And that's fantastic. I love every second of it. And power to both of those individuals for pushing their dreams and, living the life they want to live.
100%, dude. I was so excited to see those announcements. So proud of So proud of these people for making it out in a way, making it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Now,
Um,
I believe our next topic is going to be the top 10 North American teams hybrid.
yeah, and that that sounds about right. And I'm
All right.
curious on your picks.
Yes, I'll get this set up. I believe I'll put it in this little box here. I'll cover up chat. Sorry, chat. Hope you guys don't mind too much, but I'll do one of these and plop. There we go. So we've got my picks on the left side here. Hybrid's picks are on the right. Of course, we have each other hidden right now, so we don't know what each other have chosen. And what I'm gonna do is reveal our 10 picks first, both at the same time, then our 9 picks at the same time, and then once we get down to 1 and 2, maybe I'll just reveal both at the same time because it'll be pretty obvious who we have at number 1.
At that
But
point, yeah.
yeah. What do you say? What do you say we drop it to drop number 10?
Yeah, let's do it. What you got?
Boom.
What do I have? Ooh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
little,
yeah, yeah.
a small difference.
Mm-hmm.
Small
Not
difference,
much.
but it's Ghost and Exit. I think those are both fair picks. The two teams that traded a little bit. Should have switched the pick sides. Some people might get. Oh yeah, shoot! I should have been on the right, and you should have been on the left.
Hey, it's all right. Look what we can do here.
Hold on. I'll wait. Let me hide this for a second. Yep. You just copy paste that like nothing ever happened. We're just gonna hide this for a moment. We're fixing it. Thanks for the feedback.
Done.
Did you actually get it?
Yeah, it's done.
Ta-da!
It was that simple.
Look at that.
It was that
Spade is
simple.
always confused. True. All right.
That's
yeah.
fair.
There we go.
Yeah. Solid comp, Spade.
Yeah. So Xset Ghost. Those are the two teams that ended up switching Hoxer and Rapids. So kind of funny
Yep.
that we have them both at 10. I'm curious to see if you end up having Ghost in your top 10 as well. I think it's debatable. The top 6, maybe 7 are definitely on lock, but I think the 8 through 13ish area is pretty open for debate. So
Yeah, I agree. Now the debate will come if you don't have the same number 1 team as me.
okay, that's gonna be interesting because I'm pretty confident in my number 1 pick. So we'll see there. Let me reveal.
We'll say full top 3. Then we'll have an issue.
Full
If you don't
top
have the
3?
same top 3 as me.
Okay, I feel like the number 3
In the
pick
same order.
is probably the easiest. I think the
No.
number 3 is the easiest in the top 10, but we'll see.
No.
We'll see. Oxygen at 9?
Yep.
9? How?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hybrid, they were top 6 every event in the last split.
Yeah. Top 6 every event. They're not able to get better. They're not doing anything better than that.
What? Well, they're not doing anything worse than that either. How do you have 8 teams ahead of them?
I mean, don't get me wrong. You know, they just got Gimmick, which is a fantastic team or a fantastic player to add to their roster, but I don't see them pushing past these rosters. These other teams are just getting too strong, especially with the trade window that just closed.
Man, they were a team that could have made the major instead of V1 if V1 didn't go on a tear right there. I think you could debatably have Oxygen in your top 5. Wow.
Debatably, and thanks for giving me a heads up on where you put them.
I'll give a little spoiler. I did not have them in my top 5, but
Okay.
But I do think they are definitely a team that is much more impressive than a 9. But we'll see. If you have Rogue above them, then we're gonna have some talks. Let's see. Let's reveal number 8. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Rogue above them?
All right, so that's a clippable moment, right? If you Rogue above them, we're gonna have some talks. Let's see. Rogue's above them.
All right. I'm gonna need you to explain this one. I'm gonna need to hear this.
Listen, you have Rogue at 9. I have Rogue at 8. What's the difference?
Okay. Oxygen
Mm-hmm.
is below Rogue on yours.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they performed this, we've seen 3 regionals.
Mm-hmm.
for each of these two teams where they have their
Mm-hmm.
current roster, right?
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
And in those 3 regionals, Oxygen has performed better, I believe, 2 out of 3 times.
Yes.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 times, and then once was the exact same.
And
So tell me how Rogue could possibly be better than Oxygen.
they will be in this spring split. They know what they did wrong in the winter split. They're going to come back stronger in the spring split, fixing those mistakes. I have faith that Rogue is going to become the team that they used to be, become one of the top NA teams again. I have faith that they will. And I think this winter split definitely shined a light into exactly what was going on with them.
I love this. I love this from chat. Shura RL saying Hybrid's picks are beyond questionable. That is just, I mean, that is.
Listen,
I have
it's
to
nothing
agree.
new. It's nothing new. It's nothing new.
Okay, well,
That's who I am.
See. I think Oxygen was on the rise in the fall split at the end, and then they pick up Gimmick, and they did great throughout the winter split. I honestly, I think they're as hot as they can be. I mean, they missed the major, but top 6 every time.
Yeah, and they're as hot as they can be, and look at that, they're under Rogue. So what does that say about them?
I'm moving on to this.
Go ahead.
Wow, Hybrid. I'm very disappointed with you. All right, let's see your.
We'll see. We'll see at the end of the.
By the way, I had Envy. By the way.
Yes, I did see that. We'll see at the end of spring where the lineup stands.
I think Illusion is really going to be the player that is going to determine how Envy goes, and obviously, I guess because he just came in as the roster change, but he was really really good for FaZe in the major. So we'll see what there is here. Oh, look at this! We agree on this one. You have complexity. I have complexity. I typed out Cole instead of complexity, but
yeah, because what else is complexity but a colon?
That doesn't make any sense.
No, they're a solid roster. They deserve top 7. They got their top 7 spot.
They fell off a little bit in the last regional, or not in the last regional, the last split is what I'm looking for. Performing again worse than Oxygen in all 3 regionals. So still a little confused on how you have Oxygen below these teams that they just performed better than.
Yeah, don't worry
but
about it.
It's okay. It's okay.
You'll see. You'll see in time.
You think Oxygen is gonna fall off?
You'll see.
Okay. Fair enough. Whatever. I guess I'll see. Yeah, but yeah, they didn't play quite as well as they did in the fall split. But I think it's a lot because of the break that they took. I think there was a 2-week break that Complexity took for the holidays, and a lot of these guys were still grinding, so Complexity fell behind a little bit. But I'm sure that they're going to be back on it. They were such a strong team in the fall split. No roster changes. I think they'll be back.
I agree 100%. Complexity is going to make a comeback in this spring split, and they're not going to be top 7 anymore. I don't know where they're going to be placed because these rosters have been grinding and putting in the effort to better themselves, but I don't think Complexity is going to get worse than top 7 in the spring split.
I like it. All right, let's see. Now this is going to be interesting here. The number 6 teams, Envy. You have Envy at 6, and of course I have Oxygen at 6 because that's where they've placed the last 3 times.
Yeah. Way to not make it interesting, Jar.
What do you mean?
Way to just put a team where they're currently at.
Oh, come on.
No, Envy is a solid roster. I enjoy everything they've done on the pitch so far, and I'm looking forward to them showing up in the spring circuit, or I keep saying circuit, spring split.
I think Envy will improve, and they were starting to wake up a little bit towards the end.
And now they get rid of Turbo Pulsa, and now they got Illusion. It's done deal. They guarantee.
Was Illusion grinding? Was Illusion grinding the same way
he was coaching?
Before?
He's coaching a team. If you're coaching a team, I know you haven't before. If you're coaching a team, you're teaching them you're showing them, you're teaching them how to rotate properly, how to position themselves in the field, how this team dynamic is going to work. So then he's the one with the most knowledge on how team dynamic works. So why wouldn't they play better with him jumping on the field? As long as he has the skill set, which he does, because we've seen it in the past.
Better than what? Top 12? I mean, that's what they were getting. 60 points a regional, that is, you can't get anywhere there.
No, you can't. And that's why Envy is going to take top 6 in this spring split. They're going to be top 6. And it's just going to be the end of the day right.
All right, they're going to have a tough first round matchup in this double elimination though. I think the format is going to be very brutal for these teams around this.
Oh, it will be. So. It absolutely will be. And I do want to give a huge shout out to the mom jar in chat because yeah.
because it's my mom.
Yeah, and because she's, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm reading this correctly, she's calling both of us correct and interesting.
Yeah, you definitely are interesting. I'll say that. All right. So, looking at this, it looks like our 10s are different, but everything other than that, I mean, we have the next 4 teams, our 6 through 9 is exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Or positioning not, but
position-wise, but they're the same teams. Yeah.
Which means we are going to have the same 5 teams in the top.
I don't know about that. I got friends at 1.
Okay. The newcomers. Okay.
Yeah, and if you don't, there's an issue.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Here, I guess we'll have to start at number 5. Let's see. Revealing the pick. V1. You have, and I have SSG.
You have SSG at 5?
I do.
Bro, SSG popped off in the winter circuit.
They got lucky.
The first LAN Daniel was ever at, and the man pops off.
The man popped right over top of the ball and allowed 4 open goals.
He's not a man yet.
Yes,
because it's his first LAN ever.
Okay, and we have plenty of players. BDS on their first LAN ever went and won the whole thing.
The man's first LAN ever. He is 14 years old. If I'm not mistaken, 15. Is he 15 now?
You have to be 15.
15 years old. First LAN ever. He is the Justin, and Justin wasn't able to get the championship.
Justin played better than Daniel. Okay. Are we talking peaks?
Thank you.
Or are we talking overall?
Thank you, chat. They actually got my back on this one. SSG should not be top 5. They're so much higher than that.
Yeah, they're so much lower than that. No, I really do. SSG was the 5th seed to come into the major in North America. That team, they might have gone out at 12 if Sandrock was there. Like, let's be honest. We could have ended up seeing a tiebreaker situation where they drop out in the round of 12. Now,
I don't
Sandrock
think that would have happened.
Show up. You really? You think they would have beat Sandrock as well?
I think there's a strong chance that they would have, yes.
You're crazy.
No.
You're crazy. Dig played absolutely terrible.
You do not understand the complexity of this roster and the chemistry that they share on the field. That's clearly what's happening right now. You put them at top 5.
I'm a huge fan of SSG. Huge fan. Love all 3 players. I think they are one of the most entertaining. I think they were one of the most entertaining teams on LAN.
Well, they had the best storyline for themselves. First off, let's just end that. They got a rookie and they're in a LAN. That's because Sandrock
wasn't there. We're noticing the trend here. All of this stuff is happening for SSG because Sandrock wasn't there. Right? They basically got a free group. Let's be honest. Dignitas should have had the free group. SSG Daniel played terrible in that series against Dignitas. Luckily for them, Dignitas was also playing terribly. Arsenal basically willed their way through that series. Arsenal was the only reason SSG even did anything this whole time because they could have been out in the round of 12. But SSG, you need to remember, SSG was not playing good on day 1. They were not playing very well, and in groups, and I do think that Sandrock would have a huge chance to beat them, judging based off of their play in groups.
So you just said it right there. SSG was not playing well in day one.
Yes.
So what happens if they were to play well? They would place a lot higher than top 5. They've had a lot of time in between these two splits. You're ranking this team based off of how they were in the winter split. You're not ranking them based on how they're going to be playing in the spring split with all the training and the time that they got to play as a roster, considering that Daniel is still a rookie on this roster.
Yeah.
You're not putting that into account. You're literally just going based off of their previous experience. Now, granted, I understand you're only as good as your last game. But you also have to think about the future and where these teams are going, not where they're currently sitting.
Okay. I understand what you're saying here, but you got to look at it as a complete team of 3. The teams that we're comparing these guys up against, right? Yep. The teams that these guys are up against, like, we have NRG, G2, FaZe, and V1. Those are the 4 teams that you can argue against SSG, right? Those are the 4.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the supporting cast on those teams versus the supporting cast on SSG. You have Reddles and Arsenal. That is probably going to be perceived as one of the weakest duos in North America as far as teams that are making majors. Like I mean, Arsenal, all credit to him. He popped off in groups, and he was the reason they got out of groups. And obviously, all these teams are super close. All these pros are very good. But the supporting cast for Daniel, like, look at First Killer's supporting cast. Look at Justin's supporting cast. Look at Atomic's supporting cast, if we're going to go based on him at the major. Like, SSG is a great team, but I just don't know if I can put them any higher than 5 right now.
And that's fine. This is why it's your
V1
pick.
won that regional. Yeah.
And it's okay to be wrong sometimes, Jari. That's what I'm trying to get across. It's okay to be You know, it's a learning experience, and we're going to get through this together. You know, it's okay. I got your back. I mean, not in your picks, but every other way.
What does that mean?
It means I got your back in every other topic except for your picks in top 10 NA teams.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. Here, how about we look at number 4, where we're going to see the exact same teams flipped. What? NRG 4?
Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
What? No way. This has to be a typo.
It's not a typo. They played terrible in the winter major. I don't know if they're going to be able to find whatever mode back. It's hard to come back after the way they played.
What? SSG didn't even make the major. Then they come back and place top 3. We've seen teams rebound.
Yeah, we have. But from being one of the top teams in North America to their performance in the winter major, that is not something that's easily able to be come back from. That is a mental break a mental wall that you need to push through, and that is a major mental wall. We're not just talking about you lost a ranked game.
Okay. Hold on. I want to look at this real quick. I want to see every team that they lost to, because first of all, this is only one performance. All right.
There's
Second of
been
all,
quite a few times where they have not performed up to the standards that we know energy to be. It's not just the Winter Major. We've seen them before this exact same roster not performing up to the standards that we know them to be able to do.
yeah, and then they still get first, second at the end of the day every single time. This is just an exception. I mean,
I don't see it happening, man. I don't see it happening. I see the same storyline with NRG in the spring split that we saw in the winter split.
we're talking Justin, Squishy, and Garrett Gordon G.
Yeah, we are. That's exactly who we're talking about. And we're also talking about the 3 players who completely collapsed at the Winter Major.
Dude,
completely
collapsed. Team Queso. They took Team Queso, possibly the most impressive team at the Major, to Game 5 OT.
Okay.
You call that a disappointing run? Like, I mean, I understand we hold NRG to high expectations, right? We hold NRG because of their past, their history. But that just because they have one bad performance doesn't make them not a top team in North America anymore. Like, they lost to Queso, who pulled the entire lower bracket run, bracket reset G2, and almost won. Like, they had a poor performance as far as their placement, but they are still one of the best teams in the world.
They are. Why do you think they're top 4?
The top. You can't even top 4. Top
Jar, I
4.
think you should listen to your mother, take some deep breaths, and reveal who you picked for top 3. Because Energy is top 4. I don't see them doing well in the spring split. I'm sorry.
Oh my god, he has SSG top 2. You have SSG top 2 and NRG at 4?
Mm-hmm. Because this SSG roster, well, we're not even there yet, so we'll get there. But let's talk about FaZe Clan. We agree.
Yep, I think that's what I said earlier. FaZe is probably... FaZe, they've been a consistent top 3 basically all the time. Only behind G2 and NRG, by the way. Those are the only 2 teams that are better than them. And I don't know.
Now, don't get me wrong. I hated putting FaZe at number 3 right there because I am a huge FaZe Clan fan. I really am. I love that roster entirely. And what they're able to do on the field is art in all reality. I hated putting them there, but I have full faith in the top 2 teams that I chose to and their placements in there to show up in the spring split. And I already talked mostly about why, but
well, do we want to reveal who those top 2 teams are then?
Sure thing. I mean, there wasn't much left to put there in all reality. Everyone kind of knew as soon as they saw FaZe Clan put up who my top 2 were and the order that they were. Of course, G2's at number 1. That roster, their new pickup is just absolutely insane. I mean, they won the Winter Major. They have so much momentum going into the spring. They're going to do crazy things. Now, the worst part about me, it took a lot for me to put G2 at number 1. And the reason I say that is because I have never really been a G2 fan. I feel like G2 has been overrated this time until I saw them playing in the Winter Major. That's when it kind of turned my head like, oh, G2 kind of slapping right now. They're kind of cooking their opponents. Like, G2 played extremely well. There's not even a conversation that needs to be had on why they're number 1 right now. Space Station, I'm putting them at number 2 specifically because of the potential that they have as a squad and the potential I see them bringing out here in the spring split. End of story. Spade's back on the Hybird train. Let's go.
I think they don't like the NRG at
Thanks,
number
buddy.
1 pick. I think that's what their issue is.
Yeah,
Here.
I don't know what that is about. Yeah, go ahead. And I've been defending myself a lot today.
That's because
Go
your
ahead
picks
and do
are
yours.
pretty poor.
Go ahead and try and defend
Yeah.
between myself and the angry mob that is chat holding pitchforks and torches. Why NRG is above G2 right now?
I mean, I don't think.
And not just because they're all insane players in ones and they all play great separately, but it's a team game. You can't be a
Yeah,
great
and this team
roster.
has been together the longest out of
You're right. They have.
any of these teams.
That's
that
the
are
only
on our
thing
list
they
right
have above G2.
now.
That is the
Really?
only
How about
thing
consistency?
they have, except for Levi jackets with their names on them. Those
How
two
about
things are the only thing that they have above G2. Consistency?
consistency?
Consistently lacking? Consistency. You're saying consistency, but then their performance in the Winter Major, it's not included, right?
Are we serious right now? One event.
Yeah, so not
out of
consistent.
8.
So not consistent.
7 straight events they were top 3. No
Not
less.
consistent.
How is that not consistent?
Because you're looking at the past 8 events. What if I just decide, you know what? Let's only look at the past 3 events. Top 3, not top 3. It's not consistency. Especially when the most recent one is the lowest.
Still top 3 in North America. And here's something, I don't know if you heard this interview. Someone was talking to the NRG players about how they've kind of had a poor placement in the Winter Major, and how they saw a bunch of teams placing ahead of them, right? A bunch of teams from North America. The thing is, for the last, honestly, like 2 years, you could say, NRG has been at the top of North America. Like, they just have, right? If you're going to make this list at any given point in the last 2 years, NRG is in the conversation, at least, for number 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
as have G2.
They've been around, but NRG, they haven't had the opportunity. They were the meta. Like, everybody copied NRG. They wanted to play like NRG, which is why we saw NA getting beat up so bad at the fall major, is because we saw that Europe, with a much more speedy and pressure reliant play style, was more dominant. So NRG, they were always the top of NA. They didn't have any changes to make. They just had to play as good as they were, right? And now that they've fallen behind for just one big event, the players are expecting, they said that they were excited to finally have something to change. They have a new goal now. They aren't, just winning everything. Oh, let's play more, play how we're doing, let's refine it. They're actually making changes now to catch up with the meta rather than being the meta. So I think, first of all, they have way more reason to grind. Second of all, they are actually trying more so to improve their gameplay and game plan. And third of all, we're not forgetting who these guys are. These guys they still won a regional in NA. They were still top 3 in all 3 regionals in NA. Yes, they had a bad Winter Major, but I do think that, without a doubt, NRG can 100% be in the conversation for number 1 in North America.
We're gonna see. Sure, they can definitely be in the conversation, but then again, so could I. That conversation would, my portion of the conversation would be, he's absolutely not number 1 in North America, but I'm still in the conversation. Anybody can be in the conversation for number 1 in North America. And right now, it's not NRG. It's just not. I understand your consistency. 8 events, top 3 every time, blah, blah, blah. That's not it,
blah,
man.
Blah, blah,
yeah, blah, blah, blah. You gotta look at the current rosters. You gotta look at the current stats of these teams. And right now, G2 is just killing it, man. There's no way Energy is top one in North America right now. That's why I have them personally at number 4 underneath
Okay.
Space Station.
Okay, that is definitely way more outlandish than NRG at 1. NRG at 4 is definitely
No.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, thank you, Spade. Thank you, Spade.
Okay, but literally what you did was just, let's do how all these teams placed in the major. G2
No, I didn't.
was best in NA, then SSG, then FaZe. Oh, and let's throw version 1 under the bus for some apparent reason. Like V1 is definitely in the same conversation as SSG.
I did not do the winter major standings.
V1 won a regional in North America, and you have them at 5.
Because the winter major standings, if I would have just went straight off that for my list, this is how it would have looked.
G2, SSG, FaZe, V1, NRG.
Yeah.
Okay, you swapped V1 and NRG.
Yeah, Energy's better than V1.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I guess there we can end it on something we agree on. NRG is better than V1. But V1 did win a regional, so don't sleep on them either. I do think that they're also a very good team. But I think that was some good conversation. I think we may have exhausted that. I'm excited to see what your picks for top 10 in Europe are next week, because if it's anything like yours, if it's anything like these ones, I'm going to have to heavily disagree with you.
What else is new?
All right.
Yeah, let's scoot on to the next section. We're actually going a little longer than we originally. But that's fine. Like I said, we're still narrowing down the vibe and the whole feel of the podcast. So appreciate you guys hanging out with us and chatting us with in the chat box there. So yeah, next thing we're gonna be talking about, as you guys can see, is best player in NA. We're just picking one person each, and this should be a fairly quick little bit, or not bit, but segment that we're doing. Not much discussion in all reality.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't pick the same person, I'll be a little upset. But I'll maybe understand.
Okay.
Though you're such an NRG fanboy, who knows who you're grabbing.
Your pick is definitely going to be incorrect.
Okay.
That's all I gotta say. Okay. I think we should approach it as there's a group of probably I think there's 4 players that are available to be in conversation of best player in North America.
Yeah, and we're saying 1.
Okay. But first we need to define best in NA. Does that mean best as they've performed previously, or does it mean as we expect them to perform? And does that mean as far as placement, or just sheer Rocket League playing?
We're talking about
car soccer.
Currently standing best player in Rocket League. They could have been a bronze last week. I don't care about their history. Their current standing is who right now is the best player in North America.
All right. Do you wanna say it on?
I'm also not caring where they're going. I'm this specific moment in time.
Okay. Do you want in North America? Do you want to say it on 3?
We can say it on 3. This was very tough for me because I have 2 that I was going to go back and forth with, but
I have 3, and then a 4th that is definitely possible, but I'm not sure. I have one that I want to solo out though, and I think I know who your 2 are, and I think my 1 is one of your 2.
Who do you think my two are?
I think your two are going to be First Killer and Daniel.
Interesting. Very
Am I
interesting. Okay.
am I correct? 50%, 0%.
50%.
Okay.
So
Recency's beast mode.
should we just go ahead and spit out our
I'll
number one?
count us down and I'll say it on your go.
All right. Three, two, one. First
Daniel.
killer.
Oh.
Yep.
I like it.
You
I
were
like it.
50% accurate because my second
You had
pick,
First Killer and
surprisingly
beast mode.
enough, was actually going to be Garrett G of all players. And
I
considering
mean,
how I've been talking about NRG this whole listen, Garrett G is just a solid player all around. Every single place on the field, no matter where he's at. He's got the skill to play the ball or play defense or play offense, take a shot, get the pass out. He is solid everywhere on the field. He's not solid specifically in one place. And
Hybrid.
that's why I originally went with Garrett G. But
Hybrid.
end of the day, I just went first killer.
Hybrid.
Jar?
Garrett G is not the best player on his team.
In certain aspects, he is.
I think if you got to pick someone from NRG, it's Justin.
No.
He's that guy.
No. Nope. In the past, yes.
He's still
Not
that guy.
recently. Listen, I didn't pick Garrett G or Justin, or I picked first killer. Let's move on. Stop trying to toss me under every single bus that ends up passing by your place.
I think
First
beast
killer all
mode
the
is a
way.
good pick. That's like
Beast mode
that's
is
like
a
an
fantastic
honorable.
pick.
I think that's an honorable mention between the two that we picked.
Yeah.
Daniel is troll though. I think Daniel. I don't
No,
think Daniel
he's
is
not.
troll. No.
And actually, you trolled yourself by earlier today telling me just how terrible Daniel played in the
He
Winter
did.
Major.
He did. He played terrible in groups. I'm not gonna deny
Well, then
that.
at
I
this
said that. And I stand by
specific
it.
current moment, how can you tell me that he is the best player in NA?
You can. The best players have bad days. That's.
You're
I
right.
mean,
Did he have an
you can
entire
have-
bad weekend?
I mean, I think he played great in bracket. I think Daniel played great in bracket. But I do think he also played bad. And what I thought we weren't
I
bringing
agree,
in
too.
past.
I agree.
I thought we weren't bringing in past results here. I thought we were talking about what we think right now is the case. I think first killer is a great pick. I also love beast mode as a pick, but I
Yeah,
think
Beast Mode is
I
a
think
solid pick. I didn't even think about that, Spade. Thank you for that.
yeah, I think Dark Horse Daniel though. I think Dark Horse Daniel as number one.
Listen,
The,
I don't want anything but for you to be correct. I want Daniel to come out here in the spring split and just destroy his competition. I want people to be shown just how powerful a 15-year-old child can be in the game of Rocket League. Because we haven't seen that since Justin. And I really hope you are correct and he ends up being the end all be all for SSG. I can't put him above first killer.
I respect that. I respect that. No, I can't even disagree with you there. Like
I want you to be correct. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I respect that. I think First Killer is definitely a probably the favorite. Second Beast Mode, third Daniel. I think is probably what the favorite as far as going down the list, and then probably four Justin, even though Justin is still that guy, but or maybe Justin at 3, then Daniel at 4, but. Yeah, I'm glad you didn't say atomic though. I was worried you were gonna drop an atomic bomb, but
No,
But
Yeah, he took MVP,
I-
but the only reason he took MVP is because his other two teammates did not play well, at least to the point of an MVP, and that team won the major. So, of course, they have to give MVP to somebody, and Atomic was the best player on that roster, but he's not the
well,
best player in NA.
we're not gonna act like Chicago and JNaps didn't play well.
No, we're not. We're not. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying Atomic better in certain aspects, in more integral
Okay.
portions of the series than Chicago and JNaps, and that's why he got
You mean
MVP.
like just hitting the brakes in Game 7 as the ball rolls
Yeah.
into your net?
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
That was a fun little segment. I like that. That'll be fun for Europe as well.
It will be fun for Europe, especially if we get more comments like this from Spade saying, has SSG at 5, chooses Daniel, best player NA, gets mad at Hybrid having him at 2.
What do you mean? Having SS. Look, my argument for SSG at 5 was the supporting cast. I said, look at the supporting cast behind these players. Look at G2. Look at FaZe Clan. Look at NRG. The supporting cast is what I was saying was better. But I do think Daniel's gonna be good, and realistically, top 5, even probably top 6 are all incredibly close, in skill in NA. So it really is largely a toss up. But yeah, that should pretty much wrap it up for our very first podcast. I do want to mention our suggestion box.
Yes.
You can type in, so first of all, !ice. Huge shout out to Ice Gaming did that. There it is. There's their Twitter. Their Discord is in their bio on Twitter, so definitely shoot them over a follow. They made this podcast possible, so if you enjoyed it, definitely go shoot them a follow. And like I said, suggestion box, if you want to join their Discord, you can join my Discord, Hybrid's Discord, wherever. Definitely send us stuff that you guys want to see, topics that you want to see, things you want to hear us talk about, because we would be happy to incorporate any ideas that anybody from chat has.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said earlier at the very beginning of this little intro to the podcast, this is Jar and I's podcast. This is hosted by Ice Gaming. But at the end of the day, we want you in chat. We want you guys to get in on this with us. We want to hear your guys' voices just as much as I want to hear about Jar's thoughts on different topics. I want to hear your guys' thoughts, in all honesty, probably more than Jar's thoughts. I'm curious. I know I'm curious. I know Jar's curious on what you guys think. So we want you guys to have a voice in this podcast as well. Definitely head over to that suggestion box and drop your topic ideas, your own thoughts. Eventually, I don't know if we have it currently. Eventually, I'd love to get a place in some Discord somewhere. I would assume Ice Gaming, where like it could be a chat about the podcast and everybody kind of debating their own points, based on what we said and what everybody else said in chat and everything like that. I think that'd be fantastic. Have a little group chat with everybody in there, talking specifically about the topics of the previous podcast. And then we have the suggestion box for future ones. So I want to hear what you guys have to say, what segments you guys want to see. And we'll be happy to make that happen. We just, we need to know.
Yeah, for sure. But with that said, we're going to close things out. You can find me on Twitter at @RealJar. It's right up there. Hybrid's over ahead of him. Or you can follow me on Twitch, _real_jar. That'll be my thing on most platforms. And Hybrid, where can the folks find you?
As you talked about, obviously, you have PVK_Hybrid on Twitter. And it'll be the same on Twitch, PVK_Hybrid. You can go check me out over there. I'm not doing too much casting anymore. Just a lot of IGL casting for the invitational stuff. Just my own channel has been reserved mainly for either my own gameplay or just hanging out with friends, kind of vibing. But yeah, you can check me out on both those platforms, and I'd love to hear from you guys. So, and I'm in a bunch of different Discords all over the place. So if you tag me somewhere, it is me. I'll say hi.
All right, guys, and that'll do it. Thank you so much to everybody for tuning in to our first one. If you listen somewhere else, let us know. But that should do it. Again, huge shout out to Ice Gaming for helping us put this on, and we will catch you guys in the next one. Goodbye.